Good afternoon, everyone. This is Jared Rand, and welcome to the Global Guided Meditation Call for Friday, March 8, 2024. Well, that's at 3:15 p.m. Eastern. We'll be having a reverse aging health call tonight at around 9 p.m. Eastern. We're going to be talking about some new avenues that are very shortly going to be accessible. So I want people to be aware of it and also be at the ready. It goes against our belief system. What does? Everything that, even emotionality, feelings-wise, in a lot of instances have been conditioned and programmed into us. Reactionary, voluntary emotions. And remember, the emotions are in the body. They are not in the God, which is within the soul, and the God is pure consciousness. So when we look at all these emotions, which are experienced for us gods, and because we don't imagine, because tactile, these bodies, this is why they're so amazing. We touch, right? Tactile, touching, feeling. We smell, sense everything. We feel. We eat. We laugh. We cry. We compete. We do all of these things. That's all physical material world, which these bodies give us. Now, when we're not in the body, we don't have any of that. We're all that there is, ever has been, ever will be, ever beyond, and forever. We have the experiences, okay? But we cannot actually feel, touch, brace, have a turkey sandwich, do any of that stuff, okay? Now you can understand why so many of us become so seduced and intoxicated by these bodies. Even though when we're in them, and even though we've been zapped, and we don't have recall, we don't have memory of our past lives, or who and what we are, we still, there's a sense, okay? And this is why so many people take advantage and take for granted these bodies. They really don't know what they really have. That's the truth with these bodies. We don't know what we have. And of course, as children, we haven't been programmed for the understanding that we have fear. We don't have fear until the fear is programmed into us. We don't have worry. We don't have stress. We don't have anxiety. Pretty much, we are playing in our lives as children. We're playing. We're having fun. But then we have the serious part, see, and that's where the society and the programming and the conditioning of other people's thoughts, we lose our childlike curiosity. We bury it, so we don't lose it. It's there, but we bury it. Can't do that anymore because I'm an adult, and society tells me that what the things I should do as an adult. And, so we're pretty much controlled from that perspective. And unfortunately, it's through the ego mind, as we know. But yet, some of us still are kids at heart, and we don't care what anybody thinks about it, or feels about it, or says about it. And that's true freedom. When you get to the understanding with yourself, you'll know it. You'll know it. Because it's not with what do you call it? It's not revenge. It's not I'll show you, anything like that. It's through the heart mind, and you begin to realize that it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter at all. You matter, okay? And every one of us matter. But as far as people, talk about you and they say things about you, or you're in comments and through our communications, whatever form with it we choose to use, and we worry about what other people think, say, and do, don't we? Yeah? Now, I know some people that will say, no, I don't have, that doesn't bother me what other people think. Yet, when they're presented with it, it bothers them. Because we're highly emotional beings. These bodies are highly emotional. Some of us suppress the feelings because of society. Oh, I really can't, I should. It's like men, have been taught and programmed and conditioned not to cry. Well, we cried as kids, as little boys, right? Women are taught the opposite. Okay? Show your feelings. Express yourself. And men are taught to be tough and rugged and conditioned, be a certain way and masculine and that type of thing. But the interesting part is that all of us, men or women, we all have male and female. Every one of us. These bodies carry male and female. Certain parts are masculine, certain parts are feminine. Now, once we begin to understand that, or choose to, then we start understanding is that there is no reason for us to act out physical form different genders. Really isn't. We have them both. See, we were given everything that we will ever need in these bodies. Of course, as the gods, as divine perfection, we already have everything. We're not lacking anything, nor have we ever. So the interpretation of the body and the programming and the conditioning that we all experience, lifetime after lifetime, hone us into what we are right now today. That's exactly how we are this very now moment. We are products of programming by other people's thoughts. And then when it's not that we know that, see, but we do find out later. We start to understand that. Have you ever been in a situation where you say to yourself, this isn't me? You ever done that? This isn't me. I know this isn't me. This is because you're starting to realize that, and it's not a negative case, you're not caustic toward yourself or anything, but you sense it. This is not what I would normally do. And that's a good thing because you're starting to identify the facts that as you watch yourself, that these are a set of programs that are fading out because you have chosen to go within and embrace the God that you are. They're fading out. And that's how you're recognizing them day to day, week to week, month to month, year to year. So what happens when you fade out? Well, you put new information in. You do that, see. You do it. You put information in like, I'm not the body, I'm the God within the body. I am deep gratitude for the body because it allows me to experience physical material world life, which is God. But I know I'm not. See, I'm not the body, but the body houses me. It's like I've used before. You drive a car or a truck or whatever. It's not you, right? But it gets you around. And it gets you around faster than if you just walked or ran. It's like, have you ever been in a situation where you've been without a car or without transportation, period, right? And before you were used to driving here and there, and it didn't seem far at all. It was just a hop, skip, and a jump, right? And then you said, well, I'm going to go walk to the store. If you walk to the store and you go, I never realized how far this store is. It seemed so close while I was driving, or traveling to these different locations within town. But this is quite a ways away. See, the perspectives are shifted. And then what does that do? It really motivates you to be in deep gratitude for something that you had and you don't have at that time anymore. Some of us have experienced that. I've experienced it more than once. Others have experienced more than I have. But you don't think about those things. You really don't. Everybody in this country who has transportation, right, and who travels around, they didn't think about that. It doesn't even cross their minds until they don't have it anymore. And you hear, it's like my mother was always worried about losing her independence, right, where she couldn't drive anymore, and she'd have to rely on someone else to drive her around. See, she manifested it. She worried about it so much, and as she got into her 80s, it became more apparent, and then, sure enough, I took her to get her driver's license renewed, right? And of course, they have an instructor. And so the instructor and her take off. They go off. So I'm sitting in the building waiting. And first thing I see, this is a bit later, I see the instructor. He comes hurrying into the building. And I'm kind of sitting at the back towards his office, but I wasn't in his office. And so he comes and he looks at me, and I said, how'd it go? His face was as white as a sheet. He went right in his office and shut the door. Okay? So here comes my mother. She's just kind of tooling in, and I said, well, how'd it go? She said, I don't think I passed. Okay? So she was in a. If you're going down the road and you've been in that position, you're in the left lane of that side of the road. There's two lanes, right? There's left and right. Usually the right lane you get over and you turn into a parking lot or a place that, whatever. Well, she was in the center turn lane, okay? He had asked her to take a right. She was in the center turn lane and made a right. So, and there was traffic, but I don't know how they avoided getting in an accident. So I went in his office and he said, she can drive if you're with her. And so I tried that, okay? And that didn't work because we almost got sideswiped. And so that at that point forward, she says, I'm just not able to drive anymore. And that's really tough for any of us to learn that we don't have the capacity to be alert and travel anymore in our own vehicles. And then she started to realize, and then I had to keep the vehicle in front of her townhome. Gave her security, even though she couldn't drive it. She wanted it there. Because been there for 40 years. She's had a car there for 40 years, off of different cars. But so these are things that we don't realize because why? We are in such a hurry in this life. Not only are we in a hurry, we fight life. It's not like we do it on purpose. We fight life. We fight all kinds of things in life. We fight our emotions with ourselves. We ignore things with ourselves. We don't embrace things. We're very critical about ourselves. All of these emotions and feelings. And a lot of us will stick things in the proverbial recording room, which is our subconscious mind, which records everything. I mean, everything. And stores it and then randomly plays it back. And when we don't care to look at something, right, something that's bugging you, We've all been there. And you just kind of say, I just don't care to think about that right now. And it disappears for a while, and it comes back. And you finally say, okay, let's face off, and why don't you come here and sit down and tell me what you really need? These are problems, situations, pressures, worries, stresses, fears, whatever they may be. Something that you had happen to you 30 years ago, who knows? And you literally, in a very respectful, sensitive way, face off with your worry, problem, irritation, emotional hurt, pain, whatever it may be. And you face off and you finally understand what it needs, what it was needing. Once you understand that, then it leaves. And these are things that we are not taught this. We all know that. We're not taught any of this stuff. And this isn't religion. It has nothing to do with religion at all. But we're never taught this stuff. Why? Because no one has ever been really taught this. No one. We haven't been, as children, we haven't been taught any of this stuff. None of us. I don't care what generation we came from. So then we start recognizing that that's what's transpired. And it's every lifetime. Just put differently. And we start saying, I'm going to go in. I'm going to go within. I want to know about this God that I am. I'm curious. Childlike curiosity, right? So we go in because we're curious. We go within because we want to know what we are. And that is childlike curiosity. And when we do that, we find things, and they're very intriguing. So we're motivated to go deeper within because of that. It's like we say, well, what else am I going to find in here? And you might find some hurts and worries and stresses and fears that you have carried with you, and that's when you face off. You embrace them. Not one of these chest bumps, but a full body hug. We all fight that too. I couldn't do that with a stranger. No. We have become so desensitized as humans because we all need love. We like love. We are love, the God within us. We love attention. We like to be together. We like to hold and hug and laugh and cry. But we've become so desensitized from all of that, and we're like in fear. Oh, I can't hug him. He'll think that I'm making a pass at him. It's crazy. That's all ego mind crap. And what you're doing is you're actually hugging a part of yourself. That's the truth. No matter how it may look from the eyes that you have and the illusion of separation. And how do you feel when you get a hug? Not a, you know what I'm talking about, the type of hug that it has no feeling, really. It's just society, right? And I've watched people do this, and I just go, you got to be kidding, why do it? That's not a hug. And so there was a fella years ago. You can look him up. He's got a book. You can find it probably on Amazon or something. Years and years and years ago. That's when Johnny Carson and Mike Douglas and all the talk show hosts and all that. And his name was Leo Buscaglia. And he talked about contact and touching and holding. And so he would go around hugging people. Doesn't matter who they were. He would hug people. And the energy is absolutely off the charts when we do it without inhibitions, without fear. Okay? You can see how this civilization has been so desensitized and conditioned, right? People are afraid to touch. They're afraid. So they don't. How many, It's like, how many people, in this, I'm talking about our country right here, how many people do you see that are mostly, let's not randomly on once in a while, but how many people do you see actually hugging? And I'm not talking about mashing or anything, just hugging. How many people do you see hugging? You don't, do you? Around holiday, you know, people get more, they let their guard down more, and they hug their relatives and friends and family, and then it just goes back to being desensitized. See, you don't hug, you don't touch. It's like a man says he would like to hug the woman, but it is not sexual. Not whatsoever. He isn't even thinking about that. He just wants to hug her because he appreciates her. But the ego mind comes in and says, "Nah, you better not do that because she might misinterpret it as being sexually abusive." Okay? You can see how we've been so conditioned about our own emotions and feelings. Do you know why that is? Okay? What has it created for us as a civilization? Well, why do you think there's pornography? Why do you think 70% of this internet, most of the activity is pornography? The men are starved and the women are starved. From what? Affection. That's all. It's affection. They could have not had the affection growing up as children from their parents because the parents were withdrawn from it. They weren't huggy, touchy-feely because their parents weren't huggy, touchy-feely. You see how it works? And then we get to a point where we become so desensitized, we forget how to love ourselves and each other. We forget. It's almost, it is eliminated from us as years and years go by. Now, what does that create? What has that generated for us, this civilization? Extinction. See, that's why the things that are happening with us as human beings and Homo sapiens, this is why. We've been desensitized as a civilization. Man, woman, children, desensitized. So we've kind of atrophied with our understanding of closeness, hugging and holding. And you don't see it, do you? You don't see it, even with young people. You don't see it. You see the AI, the smartphones. We look at the smartphones. We're not communicating with each other. You know, we're doing it through a tech device. It is AI controlled. So you get more and more and more and more of that, and what happens? We become desensitized. We don't hug, we don't hold. Openly, freely. Okay? And you know, because of all the things that have taken place, well, I can't hug them, I can't get by them because they've been vaccinated. You think that, don't you? Anybody who's not been vaccinated, I don't know if they're vaccinated or not. I don't know whether I should hug them or not. Man, I'm not going to hug them. I'm going to kind of, and I feel uncomfortable asking them if they've been vaccinated. So I'm just going to play, use protection and caution. Isn't that amazing? That has even desensitized us even more. We are loving beings. We are made of pure, deep, eternal love light energy, the highest frequency in all that there is, ever has been, ever beyond, and forever. It's unreal, isn't it? And yet we don't practice it. We don't. We're afraid. We fear it. It's like you're with someone, you want to kiss them in public, but oh no, that's not a good idea. So you don't. You have the urge, you want to, but you don't. But maybe the other person is uninhibited and doesn't care. And you're in the opposite direction, say, oh no, no, no. It's crazy, isn't it? We are sensual, sexual beings, yet we are indifferent to the interaction. And I'm not saying everybody. I mean, we do have the intimacy, but if we're not intimate with ourselves, we aren't intimate with anybody else. If we have issues not loving ourselves, then we'll have issues loving anybody else. And then, of course, we come in and we become attached and we have expectations towards and with each other. But it's not, these are not negative discoveries. They're great discoveries because it allows us to wake up more and more. Because I know darn well anyone who is hugged with genuineness feels that energy. It's a good feeling. It's not a negative, and you just relax. And most of us don't hug at all. You know, I mean, think about this, all right? Yeah, when people, they come up to each other and they touch cheeks, the right cheek, the left cheek, and then they pucker their lips as if they're kissing them, but they're not. That's society. That's society. That's the human psyche dictating to the civilization on how to properly greet someone. I used to train people on how to interview. I also trained them on how to shake hands and other esprit de corps, ethics, morals, and interacting with a potential employer. And so a firm handshake, right? Not the paw. There's the paw handshake, where you go to put your hand out and someone grabs your four fingers, okay, and shakes it. You ever had that happen? Where because they're afraid to they're afraid to shake hands. That's clasping the hands again. I'm not talking about bumping fists or pumping this or that. It's shaking hands. It is an energetic sequence interaction between two human bodies. There is an energy transference of positivity and firmness and confidence and faith and trust. Okay? That's what that handshake means. Trust, faith, and confidence between the two people shaking hands. Not afraid, and the firmness identifies the sincerity in the handshake. Okay? And I'm not talking about crushing the hand or anything. Just a firm handshake. But today, because we've been so desensitized, it's the paw, okay, or when someone does shake your hand, it is so weak and so unresponsive that the actual communication is negative. They're not sincere. They're not interested in you. They're not interested in interacting with you. They're just like a zombie moving through the steps with really no emotion. And a lot of people don't understand that, but that's an expression of oneself towards another. When you shake hands, that's an expression of you towards another and vice versa. And in this day and age, it's really interesting how the technologies have taken a lot of that away. And I'm not saying there's not people that still believe in a firm handshake, because it's a representation of you to them and them to you. So however you shake hands determines exactly what your sincerity level is towards another being, period. And people don't think about that, okay? Fist bump, or it's crazy. It's just absolutely crazy. We are connective beings, and we're all one. And we need this, and we don't get it. And so what happens through the years, it kind of twists people. They become sour on themselves and others. They become stiff and reserved and unresponsive to many things that have to do with physical contact. And these are things that are never really thought about. People just go about their daily activities and not really give that much attention. And in the quiet time of this meditation, it's to focus on you and the love you have for you and others. And you express that love by touching. Shaking hands is one of them. That person had a really good, sincere, firm handshake, so they were genuine. You could feel it, say, even if they try to fake it, doesn't matter. You can feel it. You can feel the genuineness and sincerity with a person. And that's how we used to do it. Remember, in this country, you know how we would do things like agree on something? We would do it by a handshake. And that handshake told each of us how sincere the other person was, how confident, faithful, and trustful they were. Through that handshake, we transmit energy and frequency. But nowadays, it's amazing. People don't think about it. But if you walked up to a person, you put your hand straight out to them to shake their hand, and they come up and they grab your 4 fingers like a paw, and they wiggle it. That's like saying, you're not interested in anything that I have to say with you or any interaction that I have with you. Period. And it's a complete turnoff. And a lot of people feel that energy, but they don't seem to understand it much. So this is all about desensitization of this civilization. You call it humanity, mankind, humans, Homo sapiens, all of that. And we're lacking. We have lost that as a civilization. And you'll see it on occasion when something really negative happens, cataclysmic, a major storm, a destruction of properties or something. You'll see that come back in. Comfort, caring, because you're expressing who and what you are to others, and it affects them. How did you feel as a child when you were hugged by your mother or father? Felt good, didn't it? You felt that energy. Good energy. Love, light energy is what is transferred and interacted with because our auras combine. And that's why I talk about a full body hug. Our auras combined, they form one, which we all are anyway. And people feel that energy. It's a high when you hug another genuinely. And you'd think that we would be doing it all the time. But it's absolutely rare. And when it does occur, it isn't a hug. It just isn't. It's a poor facsimile of a hug. And these are things that we have been desensitized about because of what? Society, how we were raised, what the influences were when we were growing up, and a lot of it has to do with hurt, pain, sorrow, and anguish that we have been exposed to growing in our lives, and we withdraw and protect ourselves. And actually we're protecting the ego mind. We are not open-hearted because we are guarded, because we don't care to be hurt again. That's what happens. And none of us are exempt from it. And instead of that, we open up, and we're very vulnerable, and our hearts open up, and the walls that we create around our hearts, which are illusions, melt away. And then we become genuine. And then we aren't concerned about what other people think of us. We love ourselves, and we love everybody else. Now, somebody who's cantankerous and is very disruptive, you're not going to walk up and hug them, but you're going to send them love. You see, this civilization has lost the art of loving. true programming. We've lost it. There's little smatterings here and there, but across the board doesn't exist. You have too many of us fighting life, too many of us stressing, worrying, fearing through the ego mind, worrying about death, worrying about living, worrying about poverty, worrying about being wealthy, worrying about being happy, worrying about being unhappy. I mean, it goes on and on and on. And that's fighting life. And no wonder you might come across people that you can just sense 10 feet away that are super stressed, whereas they would say, oh, no, I'm cool, I'm breezing. You know? And they're not, because you sense it. They're not breezing. Man, their energy is really dank. It is. When you have people that self-prosecute themselves because they blame themselves for so many different things in their lives, and it's just not true. Instead of forgiving themselves and loving themselves and having an intimate relationship with themselves and their body and God within it, it's a whole different experience. You know what it's like when you love, right? You know. It's a great feeling, isn't it? And, you know, like you love your pet, and you love your spouse, or you love your friend, or you love yourself. It's a great feeling. But, you know, the nasty one that we have is the anger and the frustration, irritability, coming down on ourselves. That doesn't feel good at all. Worry is a really, really nasty one. Worry is a real nasty one. It consumes us. And you could be happy, and then you start worrying, and it ruins your whole day. Don't allow anybody to take your happiness away. Don't allow anybody to ruin your day. Ever. Period. One might say, well, that's unavoidable sometimes. Not really. Remember how powerful you are within that body. You can shift gears like that. You can shift gears and say, I'm not interested in getting upset. I've been there many times, getting irritated, and then rushing myself through today or yesterday, tomorrow, whatever. I'm going to chill and embrace myself and the God that I am and send love to this person. And then you ever been in a situation where that person will antagonize you because they want confrontation. They want that dank, lower frequency. And you sense it, and you go, oh, I'm not going there. I don't care to go there. And then they look at that and say, well, you're a coward. You're backing off. No, not really. Actually, you're showing how strong and powerful you are. So these are things that we either choose to learn, right, or we don't. And we just embrace the material physical world and the ego mind as our master until we leave the body. It's a choice. That's what it is. It's a choice. It's crucial when we are not attached to the mind and are feeling connected to our soul, our core identity remains centered with the infinite source instead of our ego. And we realize that you are the source of love, peace, and empowerment. It is not found, nor will it ever be found, outside you, yet from within. And this is an enlightened space. And our ego takes a step down and simply feels grateful for life just as it is. Imagine that. Then this universe seems to hand over every wish, want, desire you have. It does this for mere joy of feeling your heart soften more and see the smile on your face become bigger. You ever done something that there was no intent of getting something, right? It wasn't even there. You're done something for someone because you wanted to, not because you thought, well, maybe I'll get this or I'll get that out of it. You wanted to, genuinely. And you did it, and you saw this wonderful smile come over. And you just lit up even more and felt so good that they smiled. People often ask me, what is your motivation to risk everything for these technologies to be presented to all of us? Right? Because it's going to give people the opportunity to genuinely smile, be much happier, and have a much healthier direction on enjoying their lives. That's what it's all about. That's why. That's what keeps us going on these technologies. Because we know how many people will be in super gratitude for them. Not everybody, we know that, but we believe the majority would be and will be. See, it's a smile that people have. It's such a genuine smile. You know, we can fake them. We all fake smiles before. But a genuine smile. When was the last time that you laughed so much that you cried? You were just, super jolly, laughing at, and maybe something that others didn't find funny, but you did. It hit that, right? That frequency, and you just laughed and laughed. And how good did that feel? Releasing. Okay? Most of us are like buttoned up iron containers. And we don't express ourselves because we're afraid. What are we afraid of? We're afraid of what others in this society will think of us. That's it. That's what we're afraid of. So we don't do things that we would naturally, our natural state of being that we would do. And through going within, focusing on the breath, just listening to the breath rise and fall, being in a completely relaxed position. When I talk about the body being relaxed, it means that you sink into the body. You surrender everything. You know, all the worries, the stresses, the fears, the anxieties melt away. And all you're doing is you're lying down, you're in an easy chair, recline, whatever position you're in that's comfortable for you. And you're not doing anything else. You're listening to your breath. And it's an absolute that your ego mind isn't there. All of the worry, stresses, and fears that go along with the ego mind is not there. Mind chatter is gone. And you are in complete peace. Complete. Now, if you're thinking and you're still worrying and stressing and fearing, then you're not in meditation. Then the ego mind has you by the neck. So you begin, you get to that point where you just, this is great. I like being this way. I'm deeply grateful for being this way. To have learned enough to move into this, which, what does it do? It increases your vibrational frequency automatically. It isn't a maybe, if. It happens. And relaxation for the body is the best way to what? Let go of all the crap that causes the body to go into all kinds of forms of high blood pressure, and heart issues, organ issues, all that stuff. You just let it go. Surrender it. Anything that you're anticipating and receiving in your life, you just let it go. You surrender it. Doesn't mean you're throwing it away. It just means that you're detaching from it. And you have total faith, trust, and confidence in yourself in this universe, and you know it'll be. That's it. You know it will be. And whatever it is that you are wanting, it will be. Period. I'll join you in the meditation, and I'll return to close us out. Take an easy and slow breath in through the nose and an easy and slow breath out from the mouth. Negative emotions. Remain still. Negative emotions will choke your energy. Steer your manifesting vehicle, which is your body-mind, away from driving towards your dream life and get lost in the back streets of Dumpster City. Of course, it's important to feel all of your feelings. The shame, the anger, the sadness, and fear are necessary to enrich the human experience of this life. Just be aware of which negative feeling which you tend to stay stuck in, and watch the troubled story that comes with it, which resurfaces like a broken record. Honor and learn from your demon, yet don't make them the master of you. Focus instead on that high vibe fuel that's made of appreciation for others and gratitude for everything that is. Fuel your day with these two sacred ingredients, and you'll arrive in Joyville in a matter of minutes. Use the positive fuel. You can, because there is an infinite supply. Take this with you for the rest of the day, into the evening and night and the following morning. We'll return here tonight, Friday, March 8th, 2024, to continue our reverse aging health call. And Saturday, March 9, 2024, 3:15 p.m. Eastern, to continue our global guided meditation call. Be gentle, kind, generous, humble with yourself at all times. Be in the highest of the highest high, deepest of the deepest deepest, purest of the purest purest, eternal gratitude at all times. No matter what's going on within you or outside of you.